What's going on, guys, and welcome to my review of Friday Night SmackDown for Friday, April 10th, 2020. I am Graham G.S. Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. I did not do a review last week for two reasons, actually. One, due to the busyness of WrestleMania weekend, and two, not really much happened at all. I know they did replay Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair from WrestleMania 24, which is pretty cool. But after looking at what happened on the show and watching it late on Saturday, right before WrestleMania started, I figured, hey, there's no real reason for me to review this show for you two. But I am back this week to break down the post-WrestleMania edition of the Blue Brand. And I hate to report, it really was no more exciting than usual. The entire show was not trash. I will say that. I'm not going to sit here and say this was a shit show. But the entire brand in the whole needs some fucking help. So just to give you a bit of a disclaimer here, I tried to record this review earlier, and I kept on getting interrupted. I got fucking pissed. So now I feel like taking out my aggression while reviewing this show, which wasn't all that great anyway. Didn't have a lot of positive things to say about the show to begin with, so I figured, fuck it, let's just go off and vent my frustration while reviewing SmackDown. For a post-WrestleMania show, this was fucking shit. And this issue was not just solely isolated to SmackDown. It happened with Raw too. Raw show, I thought, sucked. And Raw has been very good on the whole for the last number of months now. But I thought Monday's show specifically was fucking terrible. Nia Jax coming back? Okay, cool, but who gives a fuck, honestly? Big Show versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title? What the fuck is this shit? SmackDown was hardly any better. Now, we had a main event of Braun Strowman versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Who gives a fuck? We literally just saw that a number of months ago. Their feud fell flat. Nakamura literally never won. And the only time he did win, he tried to throw it in Braun's face at the start of the show when he had said, oh, remember we beat you a couple of months ago when blah, 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 and this or that or whatever. Whatever the fuck. Like, dude, first of all, you weren't the one who pinned Braun Strowman. Second of all, it hardly even counts. Who cares? That was the last time before Mania that we saw Braun on TV. Yes, that does not warrant giving Nakamura it wasn't a title match, but a main event match with the Universal Champion. Who fucking cares? Listen, when I heard Nakamura's music to start this show, I was not thinking, oh, that's so cool. It's amazing to see Nakamura back in the main event next, because we all knew, you had to know. This was going to be a 5-minute fodder where Nakamura gets beat in a matter of minutes and made to look like a complete loser, which is exactly what happened. Exactly what I feared would happen did happen. So why should I give this company the benefit of the doubt that they're going to do what's right with Nakamura and with Strowman as champion? I don't. I have zero expectations, and that main event proved it. But that was merely the beginning of what was a very underwhelming post-WrestleMania edition of SmackDown. Now, if you were hoping for all the grand surprises and returns and debuts, we got some debuts and returns, all right. Not exactly what I was hoping for. But we got the returns of Jeff Hardy in a way. So what they're doing with Hardy is that they're airing these video packages, highlighting his background and the rise of Jeff Hardy. Get to know Jeff before he comes back. Awesome. The issue is that him and Sheamus, who also came back on the show and beat Cal Bloom, I believe his name was, we've seen these people on the show before. They were on SmackDown a month ago. So how grand are these returns really when these people have barely not been on the show, if that makes sense? They were just on SmackDown less than a month ago, and they were left off of WrestleMania. That's the only reason why they're quote-unquote returning. Great to see them back on the show. Give them some fucking direction. Why did they even bother to bring back Jeff Hardy in the first place if they had no plans to utilize this guy at WrestleMania? Same with Sheamus. I think the original plan may have been to do Sheamus, Braun, and Bryan for the IC Championship. Now, Bryan did get an IC title shot, but it was against Sami Zayn. Not Braun, not Sheamus, neither of them before last week and were even supposed to be on the show. Sheamus ultimately wasn't. Braun ended up getting on the show in the Universal Championship match and winning it. I'm glad to see them back, but we had, in a nutshell, I'll go match by match on this show in a second, but we had Tamina come out and interrupt Bayley. Who gives a fuck? Tamina in the title picture? Who could give a flying fuck? Who gives a shit? The woman was the first one eliminated from the Fatal 5-Way Elimination match on Sunday, and you expect me to take her seriously as a threat to this championship? Get the fuck out of here. She has a match with Sasha Banks next week. Whoop did he fucking do da? No joke, literally the only, and I'm not counting the 24/7 bullshit either. Literally the only woman that Tamina has beat in the last year in WWE is Sasha Banks. I don't think that really speaks highly to the credibility of Tamina as much as it does the credibility of Sasha Banks, losing time and time again to Tamina. She lost to Tamina last week in that triple threat match on SmackDown, I believe. Or no, wait. I apologize. It was Naomi who got pinned. I thought it was Sasha Banks. I'm an idiot. Either way, she did get pinned by Tamina about a year ago on Raw. That was the last singles match that Tamina won in WWE, beating Sasha Banks in a singles match on Raw. Yes, that actually happened. That's it. That's the only reason why she was even involved in that WrestleMania match, was because Dana Brooke was in quarantine and Carmella was in quarantine, whatever. Tamina had to be slotted in, even though we very well could have had a fatal four-way elimination match. A fatal four-way elimination match with Lacey, Naomi, and then Sasha and Bayley. Tamina's involvement in that match was completely pointless. But she came out on this show. She was the first one eliminated on Sunday, and she comes out on the show demanding a title shot. What the fuck have you done in a decade, woman, to earn yourself a shot at this championship? Tamina is terrible. She is so fucking bad. That's like if Rosa Mendes came back and immediately was granted a shot at the title. Now, granted, she's not getting her first shot at the championship next week, whatever. She has to go through Sasha Banks first, but still, I have zero desire. And even Bayley's matches with Lacey and Naomi weren't all that good. I have even less desire to see Bayley versus Tamina. Tamina for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Who fucking cares? You could say that those exact three words about the majority of SmackDown right now, but specifically when it comes to Tamina's involvement in the SmackDown Women's Championship picture. Now, I will say, the Sasha Banks-Bayley storyline, I like that. What they're going to be probably doing with Braun and Nakamura, and their match was completely throwaway on the show. But the tease of a Bray and Braun feud, I like. It's something new. It's something different. The issue with that feud is that both guys need wins. Braun literally just won the championship. I do not see him dropping that belt anytime soon, at least until Roman gets back, which may not be for a while. If WWE, which I also forgot to mention, if WWE insists on continuing on with their shows, which apparently they are, they're going to continue to tape TV from the PC for Raw, NXT, SmackDown Live, not even tape them all at once, which was a report a couple of days ago. Doesn't look like they're going to continue, or they're going to be doing that. Rather, they will continue doing the weekly live shows from the PC, despite the fact that Florida is in a state, they have that, lockdown, not lockdown, but like the whole stay-at-home order in place. I guess WWE somehow found a way to be deemed essential business, which is fucking bullshit. And listen, I enjoyed WrestleMania, but if there was ever a time to take a bit of a post-WrestleMania break, it would be now. There's no reason, at least on the SmackDown. Can we continue Raw, but then cancel SmackDown for a few weeks? Is that possible? Because these shows are abysmal. But I don't even know what I was getting at there. The Braun and Bray thing. Listen, I like the idea of the feud. It's cool that they're going back to their Wyatt family history. I think that's awesome. The issue is that both guys need wins. Both guys need wins right now. Bray Wyatt just lost the Universal Championship a month and a half ago. Why would they want to see him get beat by Braun so quickly? You know what I'm saying? Braun beating Bray, who does that really help? It's another filler feud for Bray that I just can't really give two shits about. So, it is what it is. I thought the Braun Nakamura main event was exactly what I expected it to be, in that it was completely, total filler, a 5-minute whatever. Didn't give a shit about it. But, Braun and Bray has potential. It's a fresh feud. I can get down with Bray and Braun in a feud. That sounds completely fucking weird and whatnot, but I dig the idea, is what I mean to say, of a Bray and Braun one-on-one feud for the Universal Championship. But the main event scene on SmackDown right now is so fucking desolate that it's so hard to care about any of this. How many top-tier talent do they actually have on the blue brand? They have Braun, who has been so heavily damaged it's hard to care. Goldberg's gone. Roman Reigns is out for right now. They have Bray Wyatt still there. Sheamus and Jeff Hardy are on their way back. They very well may be mid-card, though. Bryan is back down in the mid-card for right now. Nakamura's a loser. Cesaro's a loser. Miz and Morrison are in the tag team scene. Kofi Kingston is still in the tag team scene. I don't even know who else they have. I have no idea who else they even have on the SmackDown side in terms of like top tier main event talent. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Dolph Ziggler, give me a fucking break. Like, SmackDown desperately needs help right now. We did have a rematch for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles on this show between the Kabuki Warriors and the now new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. It was a good match, not as good as the WrestleMania match. It was all right. Nothing I'll remember a week from now, but it was decent. Obviously, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross retaining. I shouldn't say obviously, because WWE tends to do this thing where someone will win a championship at WrestleMania, and then they'll literally lose it either on the next night's Raw or on the subsequent SmackDown. Why they do this, I have no idea. Because it's like a swerve, I don't know. Thankfully, they kept the belts on Bliss and Cross. Not that they're the better team, but the Kabuki Warriors were champions for so long, you did absolutely nothing with those belts. No, I do not expect Bliss and Cross to be any better as champions than the Kabuki Warriors were. But still, I mean, they just won the belts back, keep the belts on them. Kabuki Warriors, they kind of did all that they could with the championships. The issue now is, what other tag teams are even in there in that division? Now, they did establish Carmella and Dana Brooke as a new team, which I like. I'm not too thrilled about the team, but it gives Carmella something to do. It gives Dana Brooke something to do. Don't really give a shit about Dana Brooke, but it's something. Because they need more female tag teams. The Iconics are gone. They have been gone for several months now. I have no idea where they are. Mandy Rose and Sonya are seemingly no more. So they're not going to be going for those belts anymore. And then there's the Kabuki Warriors, who they already beat twice. So really, I'm not really sure what more they can do with Bliss and Cross as tag team champions, aside from continuing the feud with Carmella and Dana Brooke. We'll see where it goes, but I'm not too hopeful about the quality of the matches that those two teams can have. But still, I'm glad they're still champions, but this whole division is a complete mess. They have no idea what they're doing with this women's tag team division. The Dolph Ziggler-Tucker match, which, again, was exactly what you would expect it to be. Tucker beat Dolph by DQ last week after Ziggler got himself intentionally disqualified by continuing to beat the shit out of Tucker with a chair on the steel steps, I believe. They had a rematch here. Ziggler wins, whatever, as he probably should. They are, showing or doing the fallout next week between Sonya and Mandy after what happened in the last couple weeks between the two. I'm looking forward more to that than I am with anything involving Ziggler and Tucker at this point. So this was merely filler. I was surprised they didn't have Mandy and Otis on this show. I mean, Tucker and Dolph, come on. Come on. We really want to see Otis get the girl. We really want to see Otis with Mandy Rose, not this shit. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but we just saw this shit last week. It was really nothing different for the most part, aside from a clean victory for Dolph Ziggler. We had Elias singing about the Money in the Bank ladder match, which I assume he may be a part of at some point. And honestly, I don't hate the idea. Because Elias has been doing this thing now where he's been singing with all this questionable momentum for a while, and it's just completely pointless for him to be, first of all, continuing to feud with King Corbin, which I have no desire to see whatsoever, and then two, just continuing to flounder. Make the WrestleMania win matter by putting him in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Now, I know he's not going to win. It may seem like a waste of a spot. I totally get that. Listen, I like Elias, but he's not the next WWE champion or the next Universal champion. I totally understand that. At the same time, though, I think Elias could work in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't think he's ever been in one before, and I don't know. They had him beat Corbin at Mania, which I was hoping they would, just because, Corbin's already had his fair share of WrestleMania moments. I had no desire to see Elias, lose again or to see Corbin get his WrestleMania moment again. Corbin was not on this show. So they could very well bring back Corbin next week and rekindle the rivalry between these two, which God, I fucking hope not. Corbin's already been in his fair share of Money in the Bank ladder matches. He's already won. He already won a Money in the Bank ladder match. He does not need to be in the match. He definitely does not need to win it. They can put them both in there if they want to. I would prefer they didn't. But then it becomes a question of what you do with Baron Corbin. First of all, you got to scrap the King Corbin shit because it's absolutely terrible. I like Corbin, but the King shit is just overstayed its welcome. It overstayed its welcome a long time ago. The Elias push, though, there is more you can do with him in this role. I think there's a lot more you can do with Elias as a mid-carder, maybe at some point as the Intercontinental Champion. Daniel Bryan, my money is on him to become the next Intercontinental Champion, but I could see a scenario where they put the belt on Elias by having him be the one to beat Sami Zayn, because he also was feuding with Sami and the Artist Collective, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves at this point, a couple of months ago. So maybe that's where they're going with it, I don't know. But honestly, I would not hate the idea of putting Elias in the Money in the Bank ladder match. That's just me. The dirt sheet. So we had Miz and Morrison doing the Miz and Morrison Hey Hey Ho Ho song they performed before Mania, did the whole music video for, which I honestly thought was kind of entertaining. Their performance was interrupted by the Usos and New Day. I had to check my calendar to make sure it wasn't Groundhog Day, because I feel like we've seen the same segment in the last 6 weeks on SmackDown. The chemistry these three teams have is great. Don't get me wrong, Miz and Morrison had a great match with the Usos right after they won the tag team titles about a month and a half ago on SmackDown. They work well together, but I know they introduced a new team on the show, which I'll get to momentarily, but another SmackDown Tag Team title rematch with these three in a singles capacity is fucking stupid. It's stupid. I understand why they did it the first time. They had Miz, or he was out sick, he couldn't compete, blah, blah, blah. So they put Kofi in there with Morrison, with Jimmy Uso, had him face off in a triple threat match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Whatever. It was a good match. They made the most of a bad situation. They're now continuing along with this, pitting The Miz against Jey Uso against Big E. Also, for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Why? Why even bother having tag team titles if they will not be defended in tag team competition? It made sense at Mania to an extent. This is just stupid. This is just dumb. And I like the New Day, I like the Usos, but they've been involved in the SmackDown Tag Team title picture despite not picking up any significant victories at all. Why are they getting another shot for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship? Specifically the New Day. They lost the belts to Miz and Morrison back at Super Showdown. They lost the Elimination Chamber match about a week and a half later, as did the Usos. And then both the Usos and Kofi in singles capacity failed to regain the SmackDown Tag Team titles at WrestleMania. Why are they getting another shot at the tag team titles? How much fucking sense does that make? I don't know if you move Miz and Morrison into a feud with the fucking Lucha House Party, but hey, Miz and Morrison versus Heavy Machinery would make a hell of a lot more sense than them against the Usos or the New Day again. I think the Usos would make more sense because they pinned Miz and Morrison on SmackDown before Elimination Chamber. That kind of went ignored. I know that ended up paving the way for them to be involved in the Elimination Chamber match, but still, I would rather see them feud 2-on-2 as opposed to having the New Day in there. I know there's really not much more for the New Day to do, but hey, why not just put Kofi back in singles competition? What a fucking concept, you know? While Xavier's out, put Big E and Kofi back in singles competition, both vying for the WWE Championship. There is no reason for them to still be in the tag team title hunt after losing to Miz and Morrison 3 times between WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber, and Super Showdown. We also had the Forgotten Son show up on SmackDown this week. Yes, the latest NXT call-up is not the Undisputed Era. It's not, I don't even know who else they have, but, they typically call up talent right after WrestleMania. They called up Bianca Belair a couple of days ago for Raw and at WrestleMania, which was cool. I mean, that was long overdue. I guess you could argue that this is overdue as well. I mean, Steve Cutler, Jesus Christ, the guy's basically lived in developmental in WWE for the last decade now. I thought he was never going to want to escape, but he never should have escaped because the whole thing is the Forgotten Sons suck. The tag team sucks. It's not interesting. Their matches aren't interesting. I can't remember one. I mean, they've had a few decent matches, but they're really scraping at the bottom of the barrel for they're really scrapping at the bottom of the barrel for tag teams when you call up the Forgotten fucking Sons to SmackDown. Really? The Forgotten fucking Sons? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't care. I know NXT, they have a very depleted tag team division that probably speaks more about NXT than it does SmackDown. But, I assume the spot was probably, if I had to take a guess, reserved for the Undisputed Era. But you can't really call up them right now. I mean, you got to call them up as a unit, obviously. You have to. And you can't really call them up without Adam Cole, who's still the NXT champion. I mean, they probably figured, hey, he's going to drop the belt on Saturday or Friday, whatever, to Velveteen Dream, and then we can call them all up as a unit right after WrestleMania. Well, doesn't exactly work out like that. They have yet to even tape Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream. That match has yet to even be advertised. It could very well happen next week, but I feel like if it was going to, they would have advertised it on this week's show, which they did not. So, anyway, the Forgotten Sons felt really, really random. They beat the Lucha House Party here. Who cares? Who fucking cares? I guess the Usos and the New Day need a new team to beat, because these guys are going nowhere on SmackDown. If you thought, I know there's a lot of people in NXT that end up getting over at a much greater rate on the main roster than they did in NXT. People like Elias, Baron Corbin to a certain extent, Alexa Bliss being one, Braun Strowman being one. They all ended up winning gold, I think. Yeah, they all ended up winning championships on the main roster as opposed to in NXT. I don't think the Forgotten Sons will fall in that category. I think they will flop just as hard on the main roster, if not more so, than they did in NXT. It's an act that just no one gives a fuck about because they're just not exciting. God bless the guys involved. Jackson Riker might have the most potential of all three, and even he's kind of generic. So, I could give two shits about the Forgotten Sons on Friday Night SmackDown. I already talked about the Tamina thing, which how dumb that is. Her interrupting Bayley and Sasha, demanding a title shot. Who fucking cares? And I already talked about Braun Strowman and Shinsuke Nakamura too. So they did bring back Sheamus. He beat Cal Bloom on the show. Good to see Sheamus. Jeff Hardy's back. They introduced him with a vignette. I guess part 2's coming next week, which is cool. I don't know what you do with those guys. Maybe feud them against each other. It looked like Sheamus got pissed when he heard, who was it? Michael Cole bring up Jeff Hardy's name when they were referencing or throwing it to the video package. Sheamus heard that. He got mad. So maybe he's like, I'm back to pay more attention to me than that fucking drug addict or, alcoholic Jeff Hardy, whatever. And I don't think they wouldn't bring that up either because Jeff Hardy's, alcoholism has been brought up constantly by Samoa Joe on SmackDown as of a year ago, so I would not be surprised to see Sheamus bring that up if they were to feud. That's a feud I can get behind, though. I know they had the Bar versus the Hardy Boys a couple years ago, and they had some good matches. I wouldn't put two returning stars against each other, but it is better than having them flounder, which is what Sheamus was doing before recently. That's exactly what he's been doing since he came back months ago, so... Anyway, that is one idea. But, Braun, Bray, I like the history between the two. They kind of teased that after the main event after Strowman obviously squashed Shinsuke Nakamura. But I don't know, man. They both need wins, so I'm not really sure who escapes that with the championship. I would assume Strowman. Because my guess always was, even after Roman beats Goldberg for the belt at Mania, he's probably facing Wyatt after WrestleMania. We didn't get it at WrestleMania. We probably would have gotten it right after WrestleMania. Bray Wyatt would have lost. I have no doubt about that. They're not going to put the championship on Roman just to have him drop it right back to Bray Wyatt. I do not see that happening. I did not see that happening. I don't see it happening here either, with him and Braun instead of him and Roman Reigns. So maybe the matches will be decent. I have no high hopes for the matches, but the feud itself has potential, because obviously Bray and Braun came up in the Wyatt family together. It's a match we've never seen before with Bray. And this guy has faced literally almost everybody in this fucking company. He's faced Cena multiple times. He's faced Randy Orton multiple times. He's faced, almost everyone. Dolph Ziggler multiple times. Who else is there on SmackDown? I feel like he's faced Sheamus before, but I'm not 100% certain about that. Him and Jeff has never been done before. Him and Bryan, God forbid, that's happened a lot. The Miz, we've seen it, time and time again. He needs fresh faces to feud with. Strowman is that guy. They have the built-in history there, but I do not see Wyatt escaping with that championship intact. I just don't. I don't see him escaping as the new two-time Universal Champion. He probably should, coming off of his WrestleMania win, but are you going to take the belt right off of Braun? They put the belt on Braun, now you got to commit. It's a lose-lose, because I don't want, if Wyatt wins, then Braun's right back to being a loser, which I'm not really sure if too many people would care about. And if Strowman wins, Wyatt's right back to being a loser too. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do with, those guys, but there really isn't many other options either. That's the issue. SmackDown is very light on star power right now, especially with Roman Reigns being out. Especially with Roman Reigns being out for the foreseeable future. Roman's gone. Goldberg probably ain't coming back anytime soon. Sheamus and Jeff are back, which is great, but Kofi's in the tag team division. Miz is in the tag team division. John Morrison is in the tag team division. Daniel Bryan's in the mid-card division. Nakamura's a loser. You know what I mean? They need more stars. And I don't know if a Braun-Bray feud right now is the answer. But like I said to Mr. Marceau RJ over text earlier today when he was asking, he said that he would have saved Braun and Bray for SummerSlam. And I agree. But now that they're likely doing it for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, I can get behind a Braun Strowman, assuming they keep the championship on him for that long, and there still is a SummerSlam, regardless of where it is. I think a Braun Sheamus feud would be spectacular. That's what I wanted to see at WrestleMania. We didn't get it, but I do think a feud between the two going into SummerSlam, I think would be pretty cool. Over that Universal Championship, ending with Sheamus finally winning the title. I was going to say the one title that's eluded him, but he's also never won the Intercontinental Championship either. But he has won every other belt. He's a former Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Champion. He's won the United States Championship, the WWE Championship. He's a former King of the Ring winner, Royal Rumble winner, Money in the Bank winner. He's won everything except for that Intercontinental and Universal Championship. And hey, he just so happens to be on the show where both belts can be found. So I would have him be the one to beat Braun ultimately for that championship. Bray would be cool too. I just don't see them going right back to putting the belt on Bray when they should have never taken the belt off of him in the first place. So that's my 2 cents on SmackDown. I know I was all over the place there. I apologize. But that is my SmackDown review for Friday, April 10th, 2020. Hope you guys enjoyed my review as more than you did the show itself. But I should be back from here on out with my SmackDown reviews. Again, no SmackDown review last week due to the business of WrestleMania weekend, but going forward, I shouldn't have an issue with that. So keep an eye out for more SmackDown reviews right here on the channel. For Wrestle Rant Radio episodes every single Thursday on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Podbean, NextAirWrestling.net. We're all over the place. Google Play. Subscribe to the show, rate the show, review the show. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. And I plug that because last week we had on, or 2 days ago rather, we had on RJ to help me break down WrestleMania 36. This coming Thursday, unless there's some sort of unforeseen circumstance, whatever, I should be dropping my near 50-minute interview with WWE Hall of Famer, good old Jim Ross from All Elite Wrestling. The voice of AEW, dropping this Thursday on Wrestle Rant Radio. We had an amazing conversation talking all things AEW, his book, WWE, The Undertaker, and so much more. The current circumstances that they're operating under. So, check out that exclusive interview coming this Thursday to Wrestle Rant Radio. In the meantime, though, thank you guys for helping me surpass 4,000 subscribers. And like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Coming up tomorrow right here on the channel is my exclusive review of the Broken Skull Sessions episode, dropping first thing tomorrow morning with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. So I'm looking forward to that, watching it, reviewing it, whatever. And hit that notifications button, too, to be notified every time I upload a new video right here to the channel. Until then, guys, have a great one. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Happy Easter. Enjoy your Easter weekend, and I'll catch your ass down the road.